Welcome back to Luce Talk. Well, we've got less than a month to go before the US congressional midterm elections. And whilst President Obama's name is not on the ballot, special moneyed interests are behaving as though there's everything to play for. Both parties and candidates are spending more than they have in any previous midterm, but that's normally the case. What's really new here is the enormous amounts of money that outside groups, big billionaire funders on the left and the right, are spending, which breaks all records. Now behind me we've got the statue of General John Logan, one of the great heroes of the US Civil War. So polarized is US politics today that some people are talking about America's second Civil War. The difference between then and now is that very little is likely to change, whatever the outcome in next month's midterm elections. Welcome to the least consequential midterm elections in recent US history. The really big contest is for control of the US Senate, which is currently narrowly in Democratic hands. The House is almost certain to remain Republican.
Now, I'm not on the ballot this fall. Michelle's pretty happy about that. But make no mistake, these policies are on the ballot. Every single one of them. This isn't some official campaign speech or political speech, and I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, although I suppose it's kind of implied.
Last week, President Obama said that his name might not be on the ballot in November, but all of his policies, each of his policies, would be. Given his very low approval ratings, just 41%, and his unpopularity around the country, that was perhaps an unwise thing to say. A lot of Democrats have distanced themselves from his comments and his policies, and his own electoral strategist from 2008 and 2012, David Axelrod, went so far as to describe it as a mistake. But the simple truth of it is, even with a Democratic-controlled Senate, almost none of President Obama's big policy priorities are getting enacted anyway. So will this election make any difference to that? Now, that doesn't mean to say there aren't some very tight and exciting Senate races in a handful of states where it's really close. Of these, the battle in Kentucky between Mitch McConnell, who's the Senate Republican leader, and his young Democratic challenger, Alison London Grimes, is of particular consequence, because if the Senate is retaken by the Republicans, then Mitch McConnell would be the Senate Majority Leader. He looks like being given a run for his money. Elsewhere, North Carolina, Arkansas, Alaska, Iowa, Colorado, and Louisiana are particularly close races. In terms of the high ratio of the enormous sums of money being spent, particularly by outside groups, versus the very few number of wavering votes being chased after, rarely has so much been spent in pursuit of so few votes. This is arguably the most expensive, inconsequential election in US history, and that's saying something.